I came up with another fun and wacky deck, so I decided I would do a deck tech of it, post it to the YouTubes, and maybe play some games with it later. This is standard Black-Red Meld, so without further ado, let's jump right in. Starting with lands, our lands that tap for colored mana are 6 Swamps, 5 Mountains, and 4 Foreboding Ruins. I chose this mix because even though we run a pretty similar number of red and black spells in our deck, I want to be able to cast double black spells on curve, so there's a little bit of a black bias, but pretty even in general. Moving on, we have 4 Foundry of the Councils. I thought this was the best utility land for the deck, as having 1/1 flyers for reach in the late game is just kind of nice if you got to get in that last 1 damage. Spawning Pit really isn't going to help you if they're clogging up the ground. Moving on to, of course, our signature land, Hanowar Battlements. This would already have been good if it just had tap add colorless to your mana pool and red tap target creature gains haste until end of turn. But they added in this meld combo with Hanowar Garrison that makes this into something that I can build a deck around. So, as you can see, you can pay 3 red, tap. If you both own and control Hanowar Battlements and a creature named Hanowar Garrison, exile them and meld them into Hanowar the Writhing Township. And Hanowar Garrison is, whenever Hanowar Garrison attacks, put 2 1/1 red human creatures into play, and 2 in a red for a 2/3. And then Hanowar the Writhing Township is a legendary creature, Eldrazi Ooze, 7/4 trample haste. Whenever Hanowar the Writhing Township attacks, put 2 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Now this is really our late game plan. This isn't something we're going to do every game, and this isn't something we're going to be able to do early in the game either, as it does cost 5 mana to do it. So I've got mostly aggressive creatures. I'm mostly working on the tokens aspect, but games where you get out Hanowar the Writhing Township, it is one of the most back-breaking things you can do in Standard right now. So if it ever happens, it'll be cool. If it doesn't, no tears shed. Hanowar Garrison is already just a good aggressive creature. So moving on to our removal package, we have 3 Ruinous Path, which we have in here as a nod to how strong Planeswalkers are in this current format. Then 3 Grasp of Darkness, as it is the most efficient black removal spell. And 4 Incendiary Flow, because exiling creatures is nice, and also you can go to the face with it, which is just good flexibility in general on a burn spell. Last part of our disruption/removal package is to Transgress the Mind. Hand Disruption is good in every format. This standard is no exception, especially with all of the things over 3 mana that do care about being exiled. Specifically Prized Amalgam and Haunted Dead come to mind. Let's move on to our creatures now. We have 2 Matter Reshaper. The specific colorless and Matter Reshaper isn't really a problem for our deck with all of the colorless lands that it's running. And then once it dies, most of the deck is hits, so it's generally just a good value creature in our deck. Moving on, we have 3 Reckless Bushwhacker. This is just a very powerful card if you surge it out turn 4 or 5. And even in the late game, provided you can surge it, Reckless Bushwhacker puts in all kinds of work, just pumping the whole squad, changing up the math on your opponent. Next, we have 2 Pia and Kiran Nalaar as our top end. Pia and Kiran Nalaar just give the deck a little bit more reach, allowing you to go to the face with any of your artifacts you have left over. And also, they make 2 dudes when they come in, so you can't underestimate that, especially in a deck that runs pump spells for your whole team. Next, we have 2 Thopter Engineer. Thopter Engineer is just a nice kind of semi-aggressive creature. It's good to give all your artifacts haste, even if you're not running a ton, and the fact that the creature that it makes as a flyer is very nice for getting inconsistent damage. And lastly, we have 2 Hangerback Walker, as Hangerback Walker is one of the better token generators right now, in my opinion. Again, it's always good to make flyers, because once they're flying, they're much harder to block in this format, especially with this last creature on our list. We have 4 Graph Rats and 3 Midnight Scavengers. So when you meld Graph Rats and Midnight Scavengers, Chittering Host, you get Chittering Host. And Chittering Host buffs all of your creatures for 1+0+ and gives them Menace. This makes your flyers almost unblockable unless you're running against a deck with just a ton of flyers. This is also very nice because Chittering Host is just a big 5/6 body with haste, and it has Menace itself. So it can get in there for quite a bit of damage. Graph Rats is just 2/1 for 2. Midnight Scavengers is a 5 mana 3/3, so it's not very aggressively costed. But when it comes into play, you get to return a creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to your hand. That's almost all hits in our deck. I understand it's a bad Gravedigger, but honestly, just the synergy with Graph Rats is very strong in this deck. Just pumps up the whole squad, gives everything menace. I think this is an undervalued card. I think this could be pretty good in Standard. The 5 mana is a pretty big hurdle for it, but I think it could see play in the right deck. Lastly, we have our sideboard. This is kind of a silly sideboard that I made. I don't know if it's 100% the most viable thing ever. I was making this deck really budget, so you're not going to see any languish. We do have the rest of our Transgress here in case we run into the zombies matchup. I also have 4 Flaying Tendrils, which is pretty strong in that matchup as well. It's my poor man's languish, basically, though. And now we move on to the crazy part of this sideboard. I put in 4 Thermo Alchemists. This is for creature decks that can block us out and give us trouble. I honestly just think this thing is hilarious in sideboards. I'm also sideboarding in 4 Fiery Tempers and the last Ruinous Path. So the Fiery Tempers can help to make sure the Thermo Alchemist gets to tap more than once in a turn. They can go to the face. And honestly, just having Thermo Alchemist in this deck gives it so much more reach than it already had. I will be bringing this in against any deck that I think is just blocking too effectively on the ground. I want to see if this works. I can't say that I am 100% guaranteeing success on the Thermo Alchemist, but I think he's hilarious if he surprises somebody coming in from the sideboard. So that's the deck. It's coming in just under $20, so it is very budget, and I'm looking to pick it up and play a few games with it over the next week or two. I think it might be a little bit too cute for its own good. I don't think it's something that's going to win a lot of games in Standard, but I'm willing to give it a chance, so stay tuned. We're going to have some videos with this over the next few weeks, and peace.